to the verse, oh, the Dabbleverse, where content has no shame. And Lucy's tight box comes in first. Lucy does dabble, Lucy does Dabbleverse, she does dabble, Lucy does Dabbleverse, Lucy does Dabbleverse. Lucy tight box brings the facts, and she breaks them down for us. Lucy does Dabbleverse. La la la, Lucy has a tight box and she shares it with dabblers. No, not like that, but she does this show for us. Lucy does dabble, Lucy does Dabbleverse, 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 yes she does, yes she do it, yeah, Lucy does Dabbleverse, yes she does, Lucy does Dabbleverse. Lucy does Dabbleverse, she does. Lucy does Dabbleverse, she does. Lucy does Dabbleverse.
What's up, Internet? Welcome to Lucy Does Dabbleverse. Today, we have a very, very exciting episode because much has happened this week. I mean, a lot has happened. Rob Saul knocked over a freaking old-ass TV, but that's not what we're going to be talking about. We are going to be talking about the recent stream that Miss Judy of AA Legal Focus did, talking with Professor Joe of Professor Joe Explains, discussing the lawsuit that Stuttering John Melendez filed against podcasters Karl and Shuli based upon the right of publicity. Now, of course, in this lawsuit, John alleges that the pair of podcasters used his likeness without his consent. Unfortunately for John, Miss Judy and Professor Joe did not so much side with him. And they created a very interesting and well-prepared stream that was amazing. It looked at John's history. It looked at the lawsuit in an incredibly, incredibly unbiased way. Now, I have links for both of their channels as well as that stream down in the description below. If you guys have not watched the whole thing, I would highly recommend it. There is a lot of hilarious moments, like a lot, that we will not get to all of them tonight. Mostly, we are going to be talking about some of the highlights as well as John's response to how these two ladies, these two chickie poos felt about his lawsuit. Because we all know that this is really, truly about feelings. That is what we talk about here in the Dabbleverse, and that is why we file lawsuits, right? I think that that could possibly be the only reason that we would file a lawsuit. I don't know. I'm not entirely positive. I've never filed one. That's actually not entirely true. Not this kind, though. So Judy, Miss Judy, of course, is sort of friends with John in the sense that she has been on his podcast. And in addition to that, he has hit on her relentlessly. But after this stream, John is not too impressed with her. In fact, I would call John quite displeased with her analysis. That's, I don't know. She's already offered him a peace offering. We'll get into her peace offering in a little bit, but yeah. Miss Judy and Joe did a great job. I really, truly was so impressed. I was live watching it. I was literally cheering in my bed. I was like sitting in my bed like, yes, ladies, get it. It was amazing. They admitted many times during the stream that neither of them specialize in this area of law, nor do they practice in New York State where this lawsuit is actually venued. But I want to point out that both of them know how to read legal papers and understand the law based on their vast backgrounds in it. So again, highly recommend checking both of them out and watching that full stream if you have not seen it. Go subscribe to their channels. They are doing great, wonderful stuff. If you like the legal stuff, they're doing it. Again, we're going to talk about their legal analysis, but mostly tonight we are going to be focused on John's response to that legal analysis. Before we go any further, though, this does bring me to a good point, a good reminder, shall I say, which is, of course, that I am not an attorney. These two ladies are. I am just a dumb paralegal who happens to be interested in this case because John is suing my friends. And that said, the two of them were quite unbiased and gave a fair analysis. I will try to do the same, but I think you guys all know that I think that this lawsuit is trash. All right, so let's get into it. Speaking of trash, let's get a little taste of what Judy and Joe had to say about John's lawsuit, specifically the portion of John's lawsuit that details the wonderfully infamous couch cushions, which I have said again and again are completely moot to anything. Now, this is where John claims that Karl and Shuli went onto his property, that the two of them did it. They went onto his property and they stole his discarded couch cushions in order to display them at a public event.
But I can still understand now why the plaintiff's attorney thought it's worth mentioning, at least, just to tell the judge, look how mean these people are. They even sent someone to go dig through his trash and grab something.
Now, I actually think that Judy brings up a good point here that I've never talked about on my channel, which is that, and again, she's being pretty supportive of John here. John's about to lose his mind over what she said, but she's being pretty supportive. She's saying his attorney is doing a good job of including these couch cushions in a serious lawsuit because it needs to explain the relevancy for context. These guys are so mean to me. They're doing all of these things. I honestly haven't given much of that any air because to me, that all just sounds really imbecilic to include couch cushions into a lawsuit, but whatever. Miss Judy is giving him some credit here.
Bad judge, because I would look at that and say, this is just silly. If this is the kind of thing you're worried about and complaining about, you know, when I look at the rest of this complaint, I'm already thinking it's all going to be frivolous.
So even though Miss Judy gives him a little bit of credit, Joe is not going to do the same. Joe, on the other hand, she says, nope, you don't get any leeway because of this. These couch cushions are so bizarre and so insane that they make the rest of the lawsuit look frivolous. I'm a big fan of Professor Joe right now. I'm a big fan. I think she's on to something here. I think that she truly is on to something. I love that we get to start out with the idea of using the term frivolous. That is a term that I have used in certain times when I have been streaming and doing Lucy Does Dabbleverse episodes. We don't get to talk about that in the context of real attorneys talking about this all the time. And here we are having these two, again, I would say relatively unbiased ladies saying, hey, those couch cushions, that seemed a little wonky, right? We got to see more of what they said, right? So Joe is going to bring up another good point here. She's going to be talking about John's rights as a public figure. And again, we haven't really talked too much about this. We definitely have talked about it a little bit. It's always challenging to talk about what a public figure gets as rights. And I think that Joe does a wonderful job of that.
Say that all publicity is good publicity, even bad publicity is good publicity. Yeah, and you know, that's one of the issues here. He's clearly a public figure, so he doesn't have the same claim to privacy that someone else would have.
Now, this is an incredibly good point, and it actually brings me to some of John's recent claims. Now, I don't have clips from this, but I suspect that a lot of you have already seen it. John has been recently saying that this lawsuit got transferred from Manhattan to Rochester, New York. And that the reason, well, I mean, that's a real true fact. I made it sound like that wasn't a fact. That is real true things that are happening. This recently got transferred from New York County courts into Monroe County courts. And John's been saying that we as in people who disagree with him, are happy about that change because the courts in our little podunk Rochester don't understand celebrities. We just don't get it. We are so stupid up here in little dumb Rochester that we could never possibly understand a celebrity. I cannot understand why he's making this argument. Shouldn't he want that to be the case? A huge portion of his argument relies on the fact that he isn't a celebrity. If he's not a celebrity, then Karl and Shuli don't have the newsworthiness exception that they want to have for this lawsuit. It's completely insane. I don't understand why he keeps saying that. And again, as Joe said, all publicity is good publicity, right, John? That's what we should be caring about. But of course, John does not know how to deal with that in any way, shape, or form. Oh, well, right? Right? They are going to go on. They're going to talk about some of Kate's surreptitious recordings of the phone calls and go into the legality of that, the tapes as we all know them. Now, John's major dissatisfaction with Judy, which again, we are going to get into all of that. But his major dissatisfaction is going to be that Judy did not do a lot of research. On the plus side, she was able to preemptively follow John's advice. Oh, nope, that video doesn't want to play because it's too short. Oh, no. Come on, buddy. Oh, she said she Googled it. The whole thing is that John is like, why didn't you Google anything? We'll get into it. All right. That was a major fail. Let's all move on from there for a moment, shall we? Now, I'm going to maintain because, again, these two ladies, they are going into the recordings of the tapes and about if those things are legal or not. I am of the opinion that none of that matters. I don't think that any of that matters in this lawsuit. I maintain that it is completely irrelevant. Again, maybe there is some context. Joe made that point already. If they are in fact pertinent, we need to figure out if these phone calls were legal or not. I suppose that is an interesting question. And this is complicated because New York State, where Kate was residing, is a one-party consent state, which means only that one person needs to know that the phone call is being recorded. But California, where John was residing at the time, is a two-party consent state, which means that there is a conflict of laws. Now, we are very lucky here because, as it turns out, Professor Joe is an expert in conflict of laws.
Think there was no prosecution of Kate for this illegal recording based on California law.
Well, the FBI, I don't think, would do anything about it because under the federal constitution, it's legal, it's constitutional. So the question would be why the police in California didn't go after it. And I don't know, maybe they got counsel that says this is a murky area where it's not clear because he's not here.
Or because it's not worth it. Who gives a shit? Who gives a fuck? Oh my God. I am a big advocate for us not talking about the tapes when it comes to the context of this lawsuit. But why didn't Kate get prosecuted? Why didn't the FBI go after her? Why didn't the state of California go after her? I think that it's because there probably wasn't a lot of acclaim. No, it is a murky area, and Joe does a really great job of laying that out throughout this entire episode. She does a really wonderful job of explaining to us throughout the episode that it would be challenging to win a case like that, and the state of California probably doesn't want to deal with it. On the plus side, again, Joe is going to bring up yet another good point, where John probably has no claim against Karl and Shuli because of constitutional law and satire, and also because of something else.
I think he's a public figure, and the constitutional law on satire gives him a hard row without even hearing that show. But with that.
When she says without even hearing that show, she is referring to hearing any of the actual events that happened at DabbleCon 2 or at Dabble House.
That show, I think it's harder. Even the private phone calls are an issue because the other party to the private phone call has a right to, it's her phone message also. And in addition, I think the hardest part is the information in these documents was he talked to her again after he knew that she had shared the first run of phone call or the first phone call. It's pretty hard for me to see how he could possibly win on that one since he went in with his eyes open the second time.
Yes, Joe, yes. And again, here I am watching this live. I am pumping my fist at the TV. I'm in bed in my pajamas, enjoying the heck out of myself. Joe said a lot of really important things here, so I don't want to skip over any of those things. So the first one is Joe makes a great point that I never actually thought of before, which is who owns the tapes? Regardless of if they're legal or not legal, we haven't made a determination on that. The state of California never prosecuted Kate for those. I think that they probably never will. If Kate is the initiator of those phone calls and she is the person who recorded them, does she own them? And therefore, can she give them to whoever she wants to in order to be able to do whatever they want to do with it? I never thought about who actually owns those phone calls. Does John own 50% of them and Kate own the other 50% of them? I don't know. I think that it is very, very exciting to start thinking about that. And Professor Joe brings that point up a couple of times during hers and Miss Judy's stream. It's genius, honestly. If Kate owns those phone calls, why wouldn't she share them however the heck she wants to share them? And if the way that she wanted to share them was to give them over to Karl and Shuli, then that's on her, right? I don't know. She's still not a part of this lawsuit. She probably is not going to be. Now, let's put this back
You
here.
think he's a public figure?
And let's go back to the end of this because, again, Joe makes another really great point here.
Information in these documents was he talked to her again after he knew that she had shared the first run of phone call or the first phone call. It's pretty hard for me to see how he could possibly win on that one since he went in with his eyes open the second time.
Now, Professor Joe, a person who knows absolutely nothing about this, she admits multiple times that she had no idea who Stuttering John was. She misunderstood almost everything about who he was. She knows he's a call screener or was a call screener for the Howard Stern show, which, according to the two of them, is no longer on the air anymore. She knows nothing about John, but she still picked up on the fact that, it turns out that after you've already been tricked into having a private phone call released publicly once, you probably shouldn't do it a second time. I think they say, shame on me. Why can't I remember how that goes? Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. I got there. I knew exactly where I was going with it. It was totally fine. It was great. It was really great. I love it. I love that Joe is picking up on this stuff so quickly and that, again, she has a really nice, fresh, and exciting position on all of the things that we all talk about all the time. So the next thing that's going to happen, and again, we are going to get into John's response soon because that really is going to be the meat and potatoes of tonight's episode. But another thing that was really exciting that happened was that a super chat got sent in that asked, John believes that all the super chats that Shuli and Karl get on their shows for discussing John belongs to John, and that he would be getting the money if they had not had a show. And Judy and Joe have a lovely little response to that.
We'll see if it gets to trial whether he can prove that. That's a hard one to prove, too.
Yeah, because if people really wanted to give John their money, they would be super chatting John directly.
Right.
As opposed to, oh, haha, Shuli made a great joke or a great crack or reaction. So I feel compelled to send him something.
I mean, we all know that Shuli's never made a great joke or a great crack, but yeah, that is exactly correct. None of this is a zero-sum game. It's not if I choose to give money to this person, then I'm not going to give money to this other person. If people wanted to give John money, they would. And sometimes they do. And that's totally fine. I mean, I'm not really in support of that. I think that you should go to fightthedabbler.com instead of giving John money. But I get it. Some people, that's the way that they are getting their rocks off. And so, you know, we can do that if we want to do that, I guess. Would John be getting that money otherwise? No. If people wanted to give him money, they would give him money. And as it turns out, they are not. Now, again, I know I already said I was clapping at a lot of this episode, but I was really extra clapping at this one for Joe.
So the underpinning of the First Amendment generally is you don't censor, you respond by more speech. And it is a little interesting to me that instead of Stuttering John using his program to make fun of their program and get, maybe viewers and, whatever it is that he would get from doing that he goes after them from doing it at all. And Judy, I think you're right. They gave him more publicity, which might well have driven more people to watch what he was doing or make him more of a commodity if he wanted to go on, what they don't have much on TV anymore, but to go on a show or do an act somewhere. So it's interesting to me that as an entertainer in particular, that his first recourse wouldn't have been to do that rather than to bring a lawsuit.
Again, so much to dissect there. John has admitted that a lot of the people who he sees at his shows are dabblers. Maybe you should be thankful for all of this. I also want to point out that WATP has made fun of countless podcasts, and very few podcasts have actually stuck around on WATP like John has. The reason for that is because almost all of the podcasts that get made fun of by WATP put their big girl panties on and don't react to it and don't call Karl out and don't send fake cease and desist letters. None of that is happening. The entire reason that John stuck around is because he was being a little pussy boy and acted like a child. And so it created this war. I don't know. War is not even the right word. Everybody's just trying to be funny and laugh at stuff. Why are we not just laughing? Everybody gets made fun of on the internet. That is part of being on the internet. If you don't want to get made fun of, then get off the fucking internet, you little stupid pussy boy. That's the answer. That's the answer. You didn't have to do any of this. And Professor Joe, again, she identified that like instantly. She had no question in her mind that that was going to be the thing that John could have done to not have any problems. He could have had success off of this, more success than he's already had, which is everything that he's able to do right now is because of this universe. He would have nothing. Nobody would care about him. And again, Miss Judy and Professor Joe, they detail that so wonderfully in their episode. It's absolutely amazing. They, again, especially Professor Joe, really knows nothing about John, and yet she pegs him immediately. I just said she pegged John, and I regret all of the words that I just said. So instead of going straight into John's response to Miss Judy and Professor Joe's stream, I'm going to read super chats and forget that I ever used the word pegged. Please never remind me. We have Chris Primer coming in for $5. Thank you so much. I gave John money once. I wanted to know is why his celebrity friends won't defend his reputation online. He read it, but he didn't answer, just moved on. He doesn't know how to answer questions like that. He truly does not. I mean, I'll be honest, that's a challenging question to answer. And yeah, that's a reason to give him money, is to try to get an answer. Good luck, though. We got Rumpled Trenchcoat, a Columbo podcast, coming in for $2. The law professor and the lawyer should Google it. Yes, they should Google it. In fact, they Googled quite a lot of things during the stream, John. They really, truly did. They actually Googled a lot and did a lot of research. And as a woman who has done a lot of research on this lawsuit, I can tell you it's not easy. So props to these babes. They're doing it. We got Donna G coming in for $20. Thank you, Miss Donna G. The wonderful bright light of the Dabbleverse. Have a great show. Love your face. I love yours too, Donna G. And we got Sorcerer coming in for $20. Let's go. Sorcerer, I think I'm going to get to see you in Atlantic City. Anybody else who's going to Atlantic City, I'm getting pumped for that. We're going to have some fun. I'm going to watch sports and gamble. Those are the things. Fiore coming in for $5. Oh my God, Kaylee, it is a joy to see you tonight. God, do you rock so much. Thank you. Let me know if I'm overdoing it with my fanboy attitude. Absolutely not. I appreciate it. You are a sweetie Petey. We got the wonderful Anthony Zenhauser coming in for a 20. Support our Lucy. She's not a lawyer, just a dumb legal aid. Hashtag Lucy does Dabbleverse. Hashtag boobs. Hashtags TSN. Go support Anthony Zenhauser. Go support TSN. Go support WATP. These are my peeps. And again, Miss Judy and Joe, they were unbiased. I can't promise the same. I'm trying. Dang it. It turns out this lawsuit is just fucking garbage and I can't respect it in any way. I try. I really do try. I'm really trying. Labyrinth Mystic is coming in for $5. That jackass called 2 actual experienced lawyers who went over his shit for free. Dumb fucks. Come to Hackamania, John. Nick Cage, God hand you for them. Yes, I agree. Absolutely. I would love it if John came to Hackamania. I think that would be wonderful. Ashley Cummings, I know, is trying to convince him. So you never know. It could be exciting. And if you are thinking about coming to Hackamania, April 10th through the 12th, 2026, I would love it if you used my promo code to get 10% off of your tickets. It's promo code Kaylee. I don't have my nice little card screen because I'm not professional in the same way that everybody else is. That's exactly why you should support me and use my promo code because I need help. Yes. All Apologies podcast, the wonderful Trucker Andy coming in for $2. FSJ, love Lucy Type Box. Trucker Andy, absolutely love you. I think you probably saved this lawsuit by doing Simpsons trivia games. So, I mean, how can we really judge anything else? We got the amazing Nigsaw coming in for a 50. Thank you. I don't have the pew pews because again, unprofessional. But thank you. I appreciate it. I'm glad that you are enjoying Log Cabin Kaylee flannel shirt wearing ass. Skull to everybody tonight. I want everybody to enjoy their night. I want everybody to have fun. And we are definitely going to have fun looking at John losing his shit over 2 lovely, lovely ladies. We got the amazing Aaron Brown. Aaron, you sent me some wonderful, wonderful whiskey that I loved. $5. Thank you so much. SJ went full John on these ladies. He absolutely went nuts about what they objectively said. Hopefully Judy saw it. He is a sad woman hater. Hashtag big dummy. I can't imagine that Miss Judy didn't see it. I know, again, she already sent him a peace offering. In fact, during his stream where he's losing it on them, she is already trying to be way too nice because Miss Judy is one of the nicest people and we are blessed to have her in this here Dabbleverse. She is absolutely amazing. I cannot say enough good things about her. We got Robert, Karl, Hamish, McJenkins coming in for $5. I got there. New York State, a call is owned by all parties involved _Google. Yes, that is interesting. So I tried Googling that as well. So does that mean that John owns 50% of the call and Kate owns 50% of the call? I still don't fully understand what owned means in that sense. I guess it's not the same thing as ownership of, I don't know why I just thought of a dog. Like, I'm not going to cut a dog in half. If I break up with my significant other, I'm not taking half the dog. That's not what Judge Judy is going to give me in my little civil lawsuit. If Kate owns the phone call, then does it matter if it was legal or illegal if she wasn't actually prosecuted for it? If she owns it, I don't know. Zen's daughter coming in for $2. Shuli knew. I didn't know that. And it is the wonderful Annie coming in for $2. I'm late and Annie restarting the show. Hi, Kaylee. Hi, Annie. I was just watching you play Is It Gay over on WATP. I saw that you did not have a great night. That's okay, though. I forgive you. H is for heretic, coming in for $2. Lucy, could you describe your pajamas? I lied about the pajamas, and I think you all know it. I saw you guys going off in the chat. Woody from Syracuse coming in for $2. The only celebrity in Rochester is the garbage plate. It's true. Everybody come to Rochester for this trial. We'll eat garbage plates together. It will be amazing. Eugene coming in for $5. Hearing John denigrate this professor was ridiculous. Her credentials are amazing and better than Stuttering John's credits. We are going to get into her credentials because he specifically actually talks about those and says how shitty she is. Professor Joe was great. Again, everybody go check out Prof. Joe Explains on YouTube. She's doing some awesome stuff. I think that she's really interesting, and I think that she is really thoughtful. So I would recommend it. Tex Hula, the amazing Tex Hula, who has amazing taste in movies, coming in for $2. Judy trying to explain the potato was hilarious. I got to tell you, earlier today, I went and had a drink with some friends, and I was reading through the Miss Judy and Professor Joe transcript, and I got to a point where it said, it was a super chatter that was coming in, and they said, "Can you sue a potato?" And I just started laughing out loud at the bar because I was like, my life is really, 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 really weird. Yeah, Cardiff Electric got a lot of really nice shout outs during their episode. We got Killer Ludicator for $10. Get super tips. I'm very busy. I'm trying to get super tips. I know it's my own fault. I got to do the things, and then I got to do the other things, and then I got to make the plans, and then I just need to sit down and do it. Thank you. You're right. You're not wrong. And we got Kimbo Lee coming in for $5. We got late but quickly caught up. Yes, ma'am. Pegged was a bad choice. I thought we weren't going to relive that. God damn it. We're never talking about the pegged thing ever again. I don't want to talk about it tonight. Or my pajamas. Or the potato. I do want to talk about the potato. I love the potato. All right, we need to get into John's response. Again, these girls did an awesome job. Don't forget to subscribe to their channels. Again, link down below. I know I've said that 100 times. I don't care. You're going to just suffer through it. We got to get into the meat and potatoes of this episode here tonight. I might prefer to say that we should get into the spinach salad and oven baked wings of the episode tonight, which of course is going to be John's response. So John's initial response is that he is not impressed. Is anybody surprised by that?
But please, Miss Judy, do some research on Right of Publicity before you have. First of all, if I were to dissect the ridiculousness.
Let's all not forget how much he continues to look up for this. I know we usually talk about the lie spider, the lies, all of the things. He is so far gone in his own head right now that he can't stop looking up.
Of your assessment of my lawsuit, it is so pathetic, Miss Judy.
It is so pathetic.
How little research you did.
Now again, these ladies did a lot of research for this. I have a sneaking suspicion that both Miss Judy and Professor Joe have both individually spent more time reading the LOLsuit than John actually has. Because if he had, he might have similar opinions to the ones that they actually have. Here is them explaining. I have cut together a bunch of clips of them explaining all of the work that they put into this live stream that John claims they did nothing for.
We have this real law professor who spent a lot of time reading up on this, although she still doesn't really know who John Melendez is.
No, I don't. Well, we were accused of not knowing what the statute said.
Yes, I did read the statute.
I mean, I was willing for this program to read these briefs.
So I'm kind of annoyed because I had to go back and look for some of these cases so I could read them.
I mean, I did read a lot.
Again, these ladies read a lot. And as somebody who has read a lot of this lawsuit, I will tell you that they probably spent hours and hours doing this of their own time for nothing, because they wanted to be able to talk about it in an unbiased way. I have also spent hours and hours and hours reading this lawsuit, probably hundreds of hours at this point, because that's how insane it is, because that's how messy it is, because it's near impossible to actually follow it. And Professor Joe proves that, as Miss Judy has to kind of explain to her what exactly is happening. If a law professor cannot understand this lawsuit, what are the chances that a judge can? We are talking about people who understand how to read cases like this. And they are struggling to do it. And a judge is going to spend less hours, more than likely, than the amount of hours that either of these two ladies have poured into reading this. They spent so much time researching this. They did such a good job. How can anybody possibly question that? How can anybody possibly question that? They didn't get to talk about a lot of the topics that they wanted to. I could tell as they were streaming that they were like struggling to kind of like get onto the next topic because they were so excited to talk about whatever they were talking about in that moment. And it was great. And it was fun to watch that. However, just because they didn't talk about every single topic that John wanted them to talk about does not mean that they were not well researched, John. That's not what that means. So next, Judy and Joe are going to question something that a lot of people have been questioning. I think it's a good and valid point that we got to look at here.
Because he still has to prove damages.
Yeah.
So that opens himself up to an exploration of his finances and his income. And who knows, maybe this whole industry of people making fun of him, it actually could be making him more money.
I'll bet it did. If I had to guess, because it made him more, it publicized his name more, and it, and probably drove people back to watch his original stuff.
As it turns out, John might have been irrelevant if it hadn't been for the Dabbleverse. Who could have ever possibly guessed that? Now, again, this is a great question. We are effectively trying to ask if John is making more money because of the actions that Karl and Shuli took, because of their actions, because they are making these podcasts. Is John actually making more money than he would have been otherwise? I think it's very possible. And I think that Miss Judy and Joe agree with that, or at least think that it would be a very challenging thing to prove damages within this lawsuit. It is hard to prove damages. You have to prove that you lost money. You have to prove that there was a monetary injury. Can John do that? I don't know. I don't think that he's going to be able to. But what is not important is what I think. It's what John's response was to this. He thinks that the only way that anybody could possibly disagree with anything that he has to say is because they didn't read or research things. And so therefore he is unequivocally correct. So John is going to tell Miss Judy and Professor Joe what dumb fucks they are for thinking that he might have possibly made money as opposed to losing money because of this.
Do some goddamn research. Well, John profited when he was still podcast. I was gone, you dumb fuck. I was gone. I was on hiatus for 8 months.
I'm going to pause this right there. I don't think that there's a lot more to this clip. I'm still going to pause this right there. I want to talk about this because first of all, we're going to get into the second of all in just a moment. But first of all, John was not on hiatus for 8 months. He likes to say that he was on hiatus for 8 months, but I have it on good authority that during that 8-month period, he did an Oscar show, a political show. He called into MLC at least 2 times. He did a show with no audio and video. He did another show with no video but audio. And he did Rob Saul's show several times with audio only. The TV, again, did not fall down during those streams, at least not to my recollection. I'll be honest, I don't have the best memory in the entire universe. He was not on hiatus during that little bit of time. He wasn't. I understand that he wasn't doing a lot, but he was not on hiatus. So the fact that he wants to continue pushing that narrative to us is completely fucking bonkers. Also, don't call 2 lovely ladies dumb fucks. You stupid dumb fuck. What a shitty fucking thing to do.
I was on hiatus for 8 months. Holy fucking shit.
All right. Now, I already told you my first point, which is that he was not on hiatus for 8 months. Let's get to my second point. These 2 ladies did not specify when you made more money, you dumb fuck. What they did is say that at some point, all of the exposure you were getting from these podcasts, from these live events, what they said is that that exposure makes you more money. And it might not have during your hiatus for 8 months. It might not have during that time when you were streaming a little bit less. But you know what? It probably fucking does now. You probably wouldn't make any money now if it wasn't for all of the exposure that you're getting because of the Dabbleverse. You should be the most thankful for this out of anything that's ever happened in your life because you've never done anything else that has been good, at least not in a very, very, very long time. Again, Miss Judy and Joe, they talk a little bit at one point about the Howard Stern show, and they mention how he's been off the air for 20 years. Yeah, he's still on the air, as it turns out. But John hasn't been on for quite some time. I would say for at least 8 months, if I had to guess. I don't know. Is that the amount of time that we just do things now? I don't know. All right, we got to get back into John yelling at Judy. Now, Judy was nice enough to send a peace offering. Miss Judy, the kind, wonderful Miss Judy, the kind, wonderful bikini-clad Miss Judy, should I say. She did a stream talking about John. She knew that John would not find her response to be favorable. And so she sent a peace offering. She was nice enough to send him some healthy food on this particular night. And I thought that was really sweet. Like, why wouldn't you do something like that? Like, it is hard, and we all struggle to kind of like get along with each other in the best ways that we can. Miss Judy is so sweet and so kind-hearted that she sent healthy food so that he didn't have to eat Hungry Man dinners or Mama Celeste or chicken out of a bag or those rotten vegetables from like 2 years ago.
And you're supposed to be a lawyer? Miss Judy, I'm sorry. Thanks for the food. But I'm disappointed in you. I am thoroughly disappointed. And why the dwarf wasn't there with you to show you and to tell you all the facts is beyond me. Totally beyond me. Because he should have been. Because you consistently made errors in your dissertation.
I have so many things to say about that. I should have paused that at least halfway through. All right, let's get into this. First of all, I have it on good authority that the food that Miss Judy sent to John was one spinach salad with chicken that had balsamic vinaigrette on it, and also some oven-baked jumbo wings, the healthiest kind of wings that I believe were garlic parm. Who does not like that? Very, very thoughtful, right? That's not the important part of that clip. Nobody gives a shit about that, right? Nobody cares about any of that. What's more important is that John is pissed off about the fact that Vince, the lawyer, wasn't there to help these two little poor ladies who can't do anything on their own. He wasn't there to help them out with the facts. So, I gotta say, I'm wondering what facts it was exactly that John was hoping that Vince was going to share with these ladies. Do you guys think it might have been this one?
What do you think's the over/under on John winning the case?
25%.
Wait, 25% of me winning?
Yeah, that's the fact that he probably could have shared with them. Right? I mean, he keeps claiming he hasn't read the lawsuit. He hasn't done anything, but he thinks John's got a 25% chance of winning. So I don't know. All right, we're going to get into some crazy, crazy stuff here. I'm going to hit a couple more super chats because we are about to do all of the things that John challenges Miss Judy to do. I know. It's going to be crazy up in here. We got Deep Space Moon Rocks coming in for $5. Hey, Lucy, the XXXmas and New Year's posts on Patreon were fire. Thank you so much. Also, John just called Judy a creepo on his stream. God bless. God bless you as well. And I'm sorry to hear that because Miss Judy is a wonderful, wonderful human who I respect a lot. Drunk Engineer coming in for $5. The real question is whether or not Canada will extradite the potato. Listen, he's not in Idaho. We don't have to worry about him being exported. Big Daddy Dodo coming in for $5. Hey, Lucy, can you please yell out my name, please? I'm about to finish. Okay, I'm done. I think that I missed that one. I'm sorry, Big Daddy Dodo. Killer is coming back in for another $10. Damn, it's here's more money. Thank you. Oscar D. Turner with a lovely little Oscar Mayer logo over there for $5. John hates women. He sure does, especially women who challenge his bullshit. Love you, Lucy. Thank you. John Skimpy Halloween Hand. Hi. $2. WATP finding SJ is the only reason that he makes money now. I agree. And it sure sounds like Miss Judy and Professor Joe kind of feel at least a little bit similar. I don't know if they would go as so far as to say the only reason, but I would. So, Jimmy the Drink coming in for $2. Stop being a bully. Never. How could I possibly do that? Oh, Count Drahoon is here. Hi, Count Drahoon, $5. He might have been on hiatus from beer for 8 seconds. Minor details, but the Duke don't lie. I might disagree with portions of that, but you never know. Lyndon coming in for $2. Love your show. One hope SJ loses to last button pops. There is another button down there. I didn't actually know that. Thank you. And Eugene coming in for another $5. Do we know for sure that Judy sent the food? I think it was VTL trolling him. I am pretty darn confident that Judy sent the food. I will be honest with you guys. I am bad at reading through the chats as I am doing the streaming stuff, especially when I'm fiddling with the clips and doing all the things and making sure all the stuff is good. I think I saw Miss Judy in the chat earlier. So if she hasn't already answered that question, then I suspect she will answer it for you. Also, hi, Miss Judy, if you're here. I think that you're wonderful. You guys did an amazing job. Absolutely, truly wonderful. Okay. I got to go back to one other thing from that last clip. That last clip, John called Judy and Joe's stream a dissertation, which is just hilarious to me. It's hysterical. He's like admitting that they're scholars while also trying to sound smart and then failing at both of those things because he doesn't want them to be scholars and also he's not smart. This next clip, I'm hoping that it plays because again, it had a problem with my little short clip just a little while ago. So I'm really, really, really hoping that this one plays. I liked it a lot. It was really silly. This is just a silly word that I laughed at.
In-person conference, DabbleCon 2.
The idea of calling DabbleCon to a conference is like my favorite thing in the entire world. I love it so much. I mean, I guess that there sort of were like panels at it, and I guess the couch cushions were sort of like a presentation display. But the idea of calling DabbleCon to a conference is I can't deal with it. It's like I can't imagine like people like handing out business cards at these live podcasts, and I don't know. That's what I think of when I think of a conference. So I loved that both John called their stream a dissertation, and then Judy called our podcasting events as conferences. It feels very innocent and sweet, doesn't it? Like, I love it so much. Okay. All right. We're going to get into the actual crazy stuff. So John is upset that Judy is so lazy. That is the problem. Is Judy is the laziest. Why would she even be so lazy?
Revenge of penis wrinkle. Law professor called your complaint frivolous. That's because Miss Judy, thanks for the food, but I'm very upset with your laziness. Seriously. If you're going to discuss my lawsuit, Google Right of Publicity law.
All right. So I promised that we were going to do all of the things that John told us to do. So I Googled Right of Publicity law. Now, I did kind of fuck this up like a little bit. I'm going to be honest with you. I Googled Right of Publicity law New York because there's not actually a federal statute. So I'm sorry that I'm just trying to make things a little bit more accurate, John. I'm sorry that I'm not fully just listening to your requirements of me, but this was the only way to get anything substantial here. So I pulled this up. I Googled this. I did it. I'm going to read you guys the AI overview because I don't think that Googling Right of Publicity law is going to have the effect that John wants it to have. I think it's going to be a little bit more challenging. So again, first of all, when we Google this, let me actually pull this up over here so I can actually see it. We get a couple of different websites here. The first one is from newyork.gov, and it is talking about what right of publicity actually means. The second one is talking about the statutes themselves. The next one is talking about the statutes themselves. We're also just kind of saying in the fourth item down there, we are getting some information about the fact that there is robust case law protecting uses that are deemed to be newsworthy or matters of public interest. The next thing down after that is going to be the AI overview. So again, I'm going to read a little bit of the AI overview to you guys. It basically says that this covers anybody's name, portrait, photograph, voice, likeness that is used commercially. It also talks about some postmortem rights that are related to publicity law. In addition to that, the AI overview immediately tells me about the exceptions to any sorts of rights of publicity, including newsworthy content, public affairs, commentary, criticism, parody, and satire. They are exempt. So again, we already know that Miss Judy and Joe did, in fact, Google all of these things. If they hadn't, this is what they would have found, John. All right, let's get back into what else John is telling us to do.
Google entertainment law.
All right, so I Googled entertainment law also, and I don't really know what I was supposed to get out of that. I'm not actually 100% sure why I am Googling entertainment law, but again, I'll show you my results here for Googling entertainment law. Very exciting, I know. Now, I think that the suggestion here is that there needs to be a certain amount of expertise in entertainment law in order for Miss Judy and Professor Joe to be able to understand and comment on John's lawsuit. So I thought to myself, well, doesn't that mean, John, that your two attorneys, Tabor Benedict and Bennett Susser, should also specialize in that area, and that they should have expertise in entertainment law, because, Miss Judy and Professor Joe, they're just making commentary. They're not your actual attorneys. I would think your attorneys would be doing way better than them. So I actually looked into Bennett Susser and Tabor Benedict again. And I'm going to tell you what, according to his website, Susser specializes in environmental law and business litigation and civil and commercial litigation. I didn't hear the word entertainment anywhere there. He also notes that he represents healthcare professionals in contract disputes and in construction litigation and in real estate. He does not do entertainment law. So why the fuck do Miss Judy and Professor Joe need to have any expertise in that? Why? Explain it to me. And Tabor, let's get into Tabor here for a second. I honestly still can't figure out what kind of law he actually practices. His website just has all of these like fluff words all over it. He's like, complex matters, strategic solutions, tenacious advocates. What the fuck kind of law do you practice? I think it might be mergers and acquisitions, but I honestly have no idea. Regardless, it doesn't say anything about entertainment law on his website. It says nothing about entertainment law. Neither of his two attorneys practice entertainment law. So why do Miss Judy and Professor Joe need to have any background in it? Why? I explain that to me. They don't need to have any background in it. And in addition to that, your lawsuit doesn't actually recite any entertainment law, as far as I can tell. Maybe I don't understand entertainment law because I'm just a dumb paralegal. I don't know. All right. See his last thing that he's going to tell us to do.
Don't just bring on some idiot who's a right-wing conspirator.
All right, I can't do that one. I was going to make some sort of joke here about bringing on Dick Masterson and then him not actually being there. I'm really bad at jokes. This was shocking to me because what he is implying is that Miss Judy brought on a right-wing conspirator, Professor Joe. Professor Joe could not have been more apolitical during her appearance with Miss Judy. I don't believe that there was a single time that she mentioned politics or said anything political. It was actually quite shocking to hear him say that. He needs to bring everything back to politics while still not believing in his own political convictions. And I guess that's just one of his wonderful copes that he likes to do. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong about that. John is going to gripe more here about Judy not going through any of the case law. Now, if you guys have been watching my channel for a little while, you probably already know where I'm going to go with this, but let's see what he has to say.
You didn't even go through any trial cases of Right of Publicity. Not Cardi B's, not the Karl estate. You didn't go through any of them.
I'm going to pause right there. I have so much to say already. He's said nothing and I already have so much to say. First of all, if John followed anything that Miss Judy was doing other than just the information that he was getting fed, then he would know that, in fact, she has done a lot of case law research relating specifically to this case. In fact, when she came onto my show, she brought 3 different cases that all related very similarly to Stuttering John's lawsuit against Karl and Shuli. She brought the Stefano case, which was a case that went to the appellate court where a model claimed that the defendant had used his picture for trade without consent. And as it turned out in that case, the plaintiff fucking lost. She also brought the Porco case, a case that I am deeply familiar with, in which the appellate courts again ruled that a convicted murderer who tried to sue Lifetime for telling his life story without consent wasn't entitled to anything because, again, the plaintiff fucking lost. And also the Kosakov, I think it was case, I can't remember that one, also went to appellate court. And this was another one where a model tried to sue a fashion designer because of their use in a documentary. And in that case, not only did the plaintiff lose, but in addition to that, the media company was granted attorney fees under anti-SLAPP. Miss Judy has done her case law research, John. Have you? And we already know that you haven't. Because you just mentioned the Cardi B lawsuit and also the Carlin estate. We're going to get into those in a minute. I'm going to play the rest of this clip, and then I'm going to get into my giant soapbox freaking the fuck out about why those are completely irrelevant. I don't remember what else he says in this clip because I'm so annoyed about how mean he is. I don't know.
Which is negligence and an embarrassment to the judicial system. Thank you. Skill.
I'm so glad that we watched the end of that clip before I just started having my gigantic tyrannical rage. That was wonderful for everybody. All right. So, John, you just said it's an embarrassment to the judicial system. Again, she has read the case law, John. She has read the case law. The thing that is an embarrassment to the judicial system is you trying to think that you could be a part of it ever. Now, again, he mentioned this Cardi B lawsuit, and he also mentioned the Carlin estate. I went and read the Cardi B lawsuit today. I went and read the one that relates to right of publicity. If that's so relevant to your case, John, if that's so relevant to your case, then why isn't it actually cited in your lawsuit? If this is such a perfect explanation of why everything is going so great for you, why wouldn't it be cited? Because I would think you would want to cite that case law in your lawsuit, or at least your attorneys who don't focus on entertainment law might want to be saying something about that, right? Or is it just
embarrassment to the judicial system? Thank you.
Might that be what it is? Is that possibly what's going on here? Is it just an embarrassment to the judicial system that your lawsuit was this completely horrible? Why wasn't it cited in your filings if it's so relevant? And not only that, but again, I went and read this lawsuit. Cardi B got sued over the cover of one of her mixtapes by a guy named Kevin Brophy Jr. And he had a very distinctive tiger and snake back tattoo that was used on the cover of her album, of her mixtape, without his consent. And it was a little sexually suggestive. And guess what, John? Kevin Brophy Jr., the fucking plaintiff in that case, did not win. The jury found that there was no violation of his likeness rights. Do we want to read that ourselves, John? Or is it another embarrassment of the judicial system?
An embarrassment to the judicial system. Thank you.
It's not. It was fucking transformative. You are citing a case that has nothing to do with your case. Well, actually, it does have to do with your case. It just is supporting the opposite side that you want to support. Miss Judy brought points that she wanted to support. John, do any amount of reading. The only other Cardi B lawsuit that I could find, because I was like, maybe I'm reading the wrong one. Maybe he's talking about something else. I don't even know. I found another one from 2025, which relates to a fucking copyright claim. The lawsuit that he is reciting relates to this thing that was not won by the plaintiff. John, you're the plaintiff. I don't know if you remember that. I don't remember. I don't know if you understand what your position in this one is. I don't know. It's a fucking
embarrassment to the judicial system. Thank you.
I can't deal with it. And so now let's talk about the Carlin estate. Now, again, John mentions the Carlin estate. So also not referenced in any of your filings. I would think if these two lawsuits were so important that Miss Judy and Professor Joe should know all about them, I would think that you might have referenced them in your lawsuit that relates to them. But no, why would we do that? We wouldn't do that. Well, this one in particular, it has nothing to do with your lawsuit. It is relating to George Carlin's estate and the active enforcement of his right of publicity. And it is about the AI generated content using his likeness. That is not what your lawsuit is about, John. It's not. It's literally not. And also, The George Carlin lawsuit is very interesting because it involves a dead guy and the estate, obviously, and it's George Carlin, somebody who is talented, was talented, but also it is based in California. And your lawsuit, John, is based in New York, Monroe County specifically. Professor Joe brought up a great point about the New York right of publicity, which is unlike a lot of other states, it dies with you. I'm not saying that you're dead yet, but I'm saying I'm gonna move on from that. Let's talk about pegging again, right? That was the other horrible way that I ended a sentence. Let's not do that. All right, we're gonna move on because Miss Judy is listening to John trashing her. And she actually chats in after hearing John say all of these horrible things about her and Professor Joe Potuto. John is still unimpressed. And so Miss Judy is going to come in and she is going to say, let's see. Professor Potuto graduated at the top of her class from Rutgers Law in the early 1970s as a tenured professor and former prosecutor. Let's find out how John actually responds to that. I think you guys all know it's going to be really positively, right?
Miss Judy, you blew it. You blew it with that. I don't give a fuck with Rutgers. Are you bragging about Rutgers law? And by the way, at least do some research on Right of Publicity. Please, a little bit. Miss Judy.
Again, she did so much.
A little bit.
And she was humble about it. She kept saying, I didn't do any research. This isn't my expertise. She is very humble about the amount of work that she put into that stream. I know that she put a lot of work into that stream.
And you let fucking Moonhead Mike sniff your bikini. Ugh. Oh, I thought better of you.
Now, first of all, I want to talk about the fact that he needs to not only insult her mind, but her body. Completely inappropriate, you fucking asshole. But I'm also pausing here for a moment because I just want you to look at how proud of himself he is. He is about to be so proud of himself. I have never looked as smug as this asshole is about to look after he is insulting a woman, making fun of her, insulting everything that she's done. Again, both her body and her mind. This is the face that he's going to make after he makes a little joke to himself because he's so talented.
Yeah. You disgust me.
Look at this face. Look how proud he's about to get of himself. Look at that little fucking smirk. Suck a dick, asshole. Completely inappropriate. Now, I will give John a little bit of credit, which I really hate to do, especially after that smug face. He is right that Rutgers, although it is a top law school, it is not the most top of the law schools. Even in the 1970s, it ranks right around the middle, around 100 out of 200 law schools. But I think that we can all tell ourselves and remind ourselves that that ranking is still substantially better than any ranking that John has ever had, except for maybe his LSAT score, which of course was 640 out of 180. Certainly not incorrect at all. I don't know. Let's get into Judy and Joe a little bit more. Joe brings up another good point here where she is talking about John's rights as a public figure. Oh, we already did this one. Did I already talk about this? I totally did. I know how to read my own notes. I'm doing really great. This means that we're closing in on the end. I thought that we had more John stuff to get to. He's an asshole. I didn't pull a lot of clips from him because he was upsetting me so much. I can't watch it sometimes. I can't watch it. It just upsets me. It makes me angry. And almost all of the things that he said were just repetitive. Like, Judy is so fucking stupid. She didn't do any research. Google it, Miss Judy. Blah, 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 blah. Shut up. We don't need to do that. We do have a couple of clips left to hit, but I think we'll hit a couple of super chats before we do that. We got Jimmy the Drunk. I am also from Rochester, McQuaid. Guess it was Brighton for you. That's funny for multiple reasons. Brighton is the Jewish area in Rochester, so that is a good guess, sir. Also, I know the joke about McQuaid, which was an all-boys school in Rochester, was that there were no stairs there because fairies don't have wings. Florida 49er fan for $10. Hi, Lucy. I was super chatting Judy during that episode, trying to give them information on the Dabbleverse. If Vince the loser was there, he would have ruined the show. Florida 49er fan, I was watching you. I saw a lot of amazing super chats from you. I was really, really enjoying all of that. And again, it was a great live stream to watch, but everybody should be checking it out. Again, it is linked down below. When you're done here, go watch that full stream. There's tons of funny shit in there where, again, Judy is explaining to Joe what the Dabbleverse is, what the potato is, what all of these different things are. There's a couple of really good moments where they're like, oh, yeah, Shuli and his comedian friends. I'm like, oh, that's the nicest thing that anybody's ever said about Zen and Mike Morse. It's a great episode. Florida 49er fan, you were absolutely killing it, and I agree that it was a ladies' night kind of show. We got AA Voyager Andrew, blah, $10. Thank you so much. Lazy projection alert. Thanks to the legal perspective on all this ridiculousness. Yes, I agree. These two ladies were not lazy at all. They were wonderful. Bacon Bits is coming in with a $10 super sticker. Thank you so much. And the wonderful, talented Troy Smith is coming in for $5. What about the first blood statute? It's true. The ladies did not talk about that at all. They forgot about it because they're just dumb ladies. Troy Smith capped that much nicer than I did. I got so excited about it. He just says, "You dumb fuck. Case closed, ya Anna. You're killing it, Kaylee. You rule." Also, Miss Judy is a saint. Agreed. FSJ, FVTL. Florida 49er fan coming in with another $5. Are you surprised that he brings up two cases that have nothing to do with his case? Vince the loser probably fed them to him. Well, I mean, again, if we're talking about feeding things to people, like I mentioned, we do know that Miss Judy, I believe, again, according to my information, and maybe you guys know more in the chat than I do already right now, we know that Miss Judy sent him a spinach salad and those oven-baked wings. And I will say that John did mention that very briefly here.
Hey, Bet. Spinach salad?
He was so disappointed about that spinach salad. Do you guys remember the vegetable plate from like 2 years ago? He was like, I got a vegetable tray and it's like rotting in my refrigerator. And it's like, I don't remember any of the details of that. It was so fucking stupid though. And I was like, oh, it's the first time you ever had vegetables. I think I'm the only person who remembers that. All right. We are going to close out with just a couple more clips here. We have, up next, another super chat. Again, the super chats that you guys were sending in to Miss Judy and Professor Joe were amazing. You guys were helping them out so much. Again, Miss Judy knows so much about this, but there is so much to know. Nobody can know it all. Myself included. Absolutely. So I was so appreciative getting to watch all of you guys sending in these super chats and helping out and putting in other pieces of information so that the two of them could get a little bit more context, because I know that they both really appreciate context. So this super chat is going to say, if a lawyer gives false legal information on a podcast to a, quote, retarded alcoholic to get him to sue other people, could he be reported to the ethics board? And Professor Joe, you might be my new favorite person, Professor Joe, because I know that you're saying retarded. But I just feel like you wouldn't say something like this in class, but you're also super smart. And I love this response so dang much. It's like adorable. And I really like you.
Odd hypothetical. And if it's clear that it was just entertainment, If a reasonable
I can't get over it. That's such an odd hypothetical. This is like the most normal hypothetical for us dabblers. This is the most normal one is if you were going to talk about a retarded alcoholic to get them to sue other people, would you be reported to the ethics board? Usually we have potatoes and puppets in our hypotheticals. It's such a normal hypothetical for us.
person would know it was just entertainment. I know you're saying a retarded alcoholic, but even a retarded alcoholic is subject to a reasonable person standard.
Even a retarded alcoholic is subject to a reasonable person standard. Thank you, Professor Joe. You are lovely. We should all give grace. Giving grace is a smart and wonderful thing to do. And these two ladies did that in spades. They were wonderful, thoughtful, kind, not insulting to John's looks, or at least not as insulting to John's looks as I would have expected. I don't know. They didn't end up looking at Casey Armstrong, which I was a little disappointed about myself. But, I can't with them because it's so dang cute. It's so amazing. It's so amazing. We have a couple more super chats here, and then we are going to close out with one final clip. Let's see here. We have Drunk Engineer coming in for $5. Do you know what they call the person who graduates last in their class from Rutgers Law School? Counselor. Lyndon, $2. Disappointed in OJ not sniping SJ. What happening? I don't know. That's a good question. Brother Ted coming in for $10. Judy, you are going to regret these commentaries if John ever finishes law school, passes the bar, and then becomes a powerful U.S. senator with strong odds at winning the presidency. It's true. Everybody in the Dabbleverse would definitely vote for him, right? Rumpled Trenchcoat, a Columbo podcast, coming in for another $10. Telling someone they're too lazy to Google stuff is pretty rich from coming from a guy who had to ask Joey C if cucumbers could go bad and then kept eating them. Yes, absolutely. And again, he couldn't even Google the Cardi B lawsuit to know that it was supporting the opposite of the thing that he wants to support. John, you Google it. You Google it. That's the answer to that. It's such a retarded alcoholic. I don't remember what Miss Joe said. We have to give the retarded alcoholics compassion. Oh, all right. And Robbie is coming in with $2. Nice to see the ladies killing it. So refreshing. We are so lucky. We have so many absolutely incredible women in this Dabbleverse. We have so many incredibly talented creators in this Dabbleverse. Everybody show them all a ton of love. We are going to close out with one final clip tonight because, again, it's just one of my favorite moments of the whole dang thing. I love it so much. Oh, no. I not have it? Oh, I never made that clip. Never mind. We're not going to close out with that clip because it doesn't exist. I was going to try to say how much Professor Joe learned all about the Dabbleverse. Miss Judy asks her, she's like, oh, so yeah, you still probably don't really understand who Stuttering John is. And then Professor Joe's like, nope, I don't. Nope, don't know at all. And that was how we were going to close out. But instead, we closed out like this. So again, I think I'll say the word pegged, and we'll just pretend like none of this ever happened. I appreciate you guys so very much. I hope that you all have a wonderful evening. Thank you so much for joining me. Don't forget to go check out these two lovely ladies. They are again linked down in my description below, and I will see y'all soon.